SEO and AI. This video actually started out as an expert interview.
I don't know if I'm an AI expert. I do feel comfortable on the SEO expert part.
Anyone can call themselves an AI expert. Yeah, I think you're in good. You're more an expert than a lot of people calling themselves an expert nowadays. But I was so intrigued by what my guest had to say that I thought, you know what? I bet I can go deeper. And then I thought, well, maybe I can just do a quick explainer video, like 5 to 10 minutes on SEO and AI. But the more I looked into how to make this a quick explainer, the more I realized there's no quick, accurate explanation of SEO or AI, really. Instead, this video is a deep explainer of SEO and AI. I hope to answer the question for you whether you should use AI for SEO, whether you should be using tools to generate articles wholesale in an effort to bid SEO. There's no judgment here. This is a judgment-free zone. I'm going to try to use data to answer the question of whether AI is good for SEO with 22 of my own articles, but also a ton of other people that I spoke with and included their examples in this video. You'll also have some snippets from our expert guest, Kyle Roof.
I'm the creator and founder of Page Optimizer Pro, which is an on-page SEO tool. Mm-hmm. And I'm one of the co-founders of Internet Marketing Gold, which is a place where we teach SEO. So I have courses on SEO, and I have a platform with about 50 other instructors where you can learn just about anything you want to know about SEO, including, I think, some of the new AI stuff as well.
Who is fantastic. So make yourself a drink, maybe get a snack. Don't try to watch this during a quick 5 minutes. Maybe during your lunch break, this could be a good video. Let's go deep. This is for the people who are really curious, who don't just want the quick answer, who want the real thorough answer into whether you should use AI for SEO. Let's get started. I never really used to think about SEO, right? I would just get on Google and I would type best cat food for indoor cats, or how to set up a website, or best chocolate chip cookie recipe. And then I would click on the answer, I would make my chocolate chip cookies, and I would move on with my day. Little did I know that behind the scenes, a war was happening for my eyeballs. War is a little exaggerated, but not that exaggerated. Behind the scenes, thousands of chocolate chip cookie recipes were vying for my attention, for my click, for my eyeballs. This is because my eyeballs and yours are valuable. They represent either an ad view, which means the person who wrote that blog post or the person who owns that blog post gets paid because I've looked at an ad. They get paid for that. It's valuable because I might sign up for their newsletter where they can sell me additional recipes, or I might be tempted to buy a chocolate chip recipe cookbook. So all these websites are trying to get Google to rank them first. That's the war. The rules to make me more likely to click on that article. Now, the rules of engagement are simple, but they're secret. Google doesn't want us to know exactly how it decides what article goes on top, what article goes first. This is because if we all knew exactly how it worked, well, there'd be nothing stopping us from gaming the system. And indeed, many people do game the system, or try to. There are any number of SEO experts or SEO experts who will try to sell you on the secrets of their SEO success. What's most important for you to keep in mind here is that Google isn't really trying to trick anybody. It's not trying to pull the rug out from anybody. It's just trying to make sure that I get the right chocolate chip cookie recipe for my needs based on what it knows about me. It's doing this because if I don't get good results when I use Google's search page, I'll stop using Google and I'll take my very valuable eyeballs elsewhere. This requires you to understand that Google is not a search engine company. Common misconception. It makes money from ads. It is an advertising company. It is an ad selling company. It doesn't make money from me paying to use the search engine. It makes money from me clicking on ads. And so it sells ads. This is where some of the secrecy comes in. Google employees obviously don't read every single recipe that gets posted to the internet every single day. Instead, they have some kind of reader robot, I call it the reader robot, that crawls the website to see, okay, well, this cookie recipe got posted, let's find out what it's about. It says recipe in the title, probably a recipe. It says chocolate chip cookie, probably a chocolate chip cookie recipe. It might also look for related keywords like vanilla, eggs, butter, whisking, to make sure that this really is about how to make chocolate chip cookies and not someone who's trying to game the system to rank for chocolate chip cookies. There are a couple other things, but that's basically all you need to know about how Google works with SEO to make sure that they're showing the right content to the right reader. Now, let's get into AI. Is it a scam or is it a solution? Here's the thing. To make sure that you keep up with Google's Reader Robot and you keep ranking and making sure that your cookie recipe gets read by people like me who want to make cookies and might buy your cookbook, it's not enough to just post one amazing recipe and leave it at that. No. The most reliable way to get SEO hits on your blog, your whole blog, is by posting a lot of content. And I don't mean like once a month, I mean at least once a week as a minimum. And then it's also true that the more content you produce, if you know what you're doing with SEO, typically, the better you're gonna rank. So there's a direct correlation between amount of SEO-ified content you're putting out and how well your website does, how much money you're earning from ads, cookbook sales, all the rest. This isn't a hard and fast rule. I mean, I got to 5,000 hits a month by just posting random stuff on my website. But as soon as I started taking SEO more seriously, my hits went up a lot, and I'll show you some data to corroborate this. You can see that in 2022, I posted 6-ish articles designed to rank for SEO. In 2023 so far, I've already added 28 articles, but you can see that my traffic is not just a linear increase with that, it's actually more. So more content equals more traffic. So imagine you're in my shoes. Imagine you're like, all right, well, I know I have to put content out there if I want to rank, but God, I'm tired of just typing words onto my keyboard. I want to do other more interesting stuff with my business. I don't necessarily want to be an SEO monkey my whole life, but that's how you rank. People get around this in a couple of different ways. Sometimes they just write crappier stuff that still has keywords, so it'll rank, just not as well or as quickly. Sometimes they outsource this to people from the global south who they can get away with paying a lot less money, or they'll look at content mills to create content that way. And lately, people have looked at AI. With AI, you can write a high-quality article with a click of a button. By high quality, I don't mean this is something that you could read on The Atlantic, which is actually fun, entertaining, engaging novel in some way. I just mean that AI can now string together a series of words in a sentence shape. What I mean by this is it knows what a preposition is. AI will know roughly what is most likely to come after a preposition. It knows how long paragraphs should be, and it knows that if I say something like, if I say write an article about heart attacks, it's going to include things like your cardiovascular system, blood, veins, arteries, all the rest, not just specifically heart attacks. It has a lot of contextual knowledge as well. So suddenly, it's very easy to create content, and you don't even have to pay the pennies a day that you could pay somebody from the global south to do it. You can press a button and get an article a day easily. And why stop there? Hell, you could have 5 articles, 10 articles, 100 articles a day with very little effort. Is it worth it? Does this strategy pay off? We already know that the more content, the better off you are. Controversial opinion coming in. My original theory was that AI would be really good at SEO. SEO is kind of robotic by nature because to rank for SEO, you're not writing for humans. Remember, those Google employees are way too busy to review every single one of your chocolate chip cookie recipes. Instead, it's left to a robot. Who better to write content for a robot, to write it in a way that a robot would value and find useful and easy to parse what it's about, than another robot? Plus, remember, most large language models, like ChatGPT, for example, have been trained on a huge body of text that contains a lot of blog posts, that already contains a lot of chocolate chip cookie recipes that rank on Google. So it already knows the structure of a winning SEO article. There are issues, of course. AI has been caught plagiarizing. AI has been caught making stuff up wholesale. So, for example, you might find out that your AI recipe wants you to throw fish in there in your chocolate chip cookies. That's not very nice. But you can still understand how tempting this would be to someone who knows the rule of more content equals more hits, right? Someone who's tired of feeding Google this endless stream of content. Well, confession. I was that person. So I went into this with my theory that AI would actually be pretty good at making SEO content. Let's back up a little bit because my SEO journey started before AI was really a thing. So about a year ago, I thought, you know what, Zuli, it's time to take SEO seriously. It's time to start getting my website up, getting more hits, getting more views, getting more ad revenue, getting more email newsletter signups. So I started taking it seriously, and you know what? Almost instantly, I ran into 2 very real problems. I wanted to do 1 article a week. I didn't suddenly have more time. I had to find the time to write a whole other article a week. I'm a quick writer, so I was able to do that without too much difficulty, but problem number 2 was a lot bigger. Problem number 2 is that a lot of SEO perfect content is boring to write. So for example, content that tends to write well, like say the keyword content marketing and AI, I just couldn't think of anything interesting that I personally had to say about the topic, but I knew that I could potentially rank for it. So with the pair of problems of a lot of content, a lot of pressure, not a lot of time, and kind of bored writing this like not that interesting SEO content, I was like, you know what? When ChatGPT rolled around, I said, I'm gonna try it. And you know what? I'll do it for science. I'll keep a record of what I use, what tools I use, what the results are, how well it works, and whether this is something I can conceivably look at long term. Remember, this is a no judgment zone, so if you've been in this position, look, I get it. Writing for a robot is tiring. In an ideal world, I would be writing for readers, but in today's media economy, that's just not what we're looking at, is it? So, yes, I looked to AI. I used a mix of tools. So primarily I was using the free version of ChatGPT because free, and it was super easy to use. I found the interface really intuitive, and I was easily able to get it to do what I wanted. I also tested out a bunch of other AI tools, mostly because, this is funny, mostly because those keywords ranked. So like ScaleNut review, Jenny AI review, Content Shake review, those all were ranking keywords. So I wanted to create a review so that I could rank for those keywords for those AI, which required me to trial them and test them and actually use them. So I would often repurpose my trial content to just post on my website. Here are my results. So here is a chart that I created showing you how well AI worked to get me this to rank when I created content. And as you can see, the mostly AI written content didn't perform well. The outlined content did okay, but for the most part, articles with no AI input at all, they did best of all. Here is my full screenshot of results, so you can pause here if you want to see here how well it works. I spoke to some other people too. I'll share their results here. So this expert, for example, was able to start ranking on the 3rd page of Google for their keyword. This other expert was able to rank pretty consistently for keywords using AI. They shared their method with me. So it's clear that AI can help a little bit, at least. I personally think that for me anyway, writing articles myself still has better AI results or better SEO results than just pressing generate. And even outlining with AI sometimes is not a great, doesn't have great results. But ultimately, I don't think AI is going to take over SEO. And here's why.
In the 10 plus years I've been doing SEO, I think SEO has died about every 6 months. And
I hear the same stat for blogging.
Yeah. Somehow it survived. And then I don't know how old you are, but if you were around in February of 2023, SEO also died then with the new AI stuff, and yet here we are filming in September, and it somehow hasn't quite kicked the bucket just yet.
Still here.
The doom and gloom people, they like to be doom and gloom, and that's pretty much all they've got going on. Anytime, what's interesting for me is that anytime there's been a bit of a shift, say something kind of new has come out, and people have said this will kill SEO for whatever reason. It hasn't killed SEO. Things have changed a little bit, but what I've found is that's actually the time when there's more money to be made. When there's a little pivot that you can do, if you understand the why of what's going on, you can make that pivot. And in those situations, you can be extremely successful. I know that I've made the majority of my money when things look the worst. Like when things there's a downturn somewhere, or the SEO is dying, or there's something huge has happened that it's just going to change the entire landscape. Those are the times for opportunity. And so I'm only excited when I hear people say that SEO is dead, because I know it's not, and I know that's going to be a really, really good opportunity.
Let's have a little thought experiment. Let's say that I actually found out that AI was perfect at generating SEO articles. Suddenly everybody's doing this, but AI doesn't really create unique things. Mostly it creates the same content over and over. So if you have 10 bloggers who all write 10 SEO optimized by AI articles for chocolate chip cookie recipes, Google's not really going to find a huge amount of distinction between them. So they might all rank, but they might all none rank either. And remember, Google's trying to surface helpful content to the reader. That's their main goal, because if we don't like Google, then we go to Ecosia, we go to DuckDuckGo. They're fighting for our valuable eyeballs. Remember that. If everybody's creating this kind of nonsense content, Google's going to have a really hard time differentiating between high quality content between AI blogs. You know who is going to be differentiated? The person writing their own blog post, the person creating their own content, the person not relying on AI. That person is going to stand out, and if they know anything about SEO, they're going to stand out in a favorable way. This is what I have found personally. Now, I don't think that's going to stop people from using AI extensively. Like, as I've outlined, we already know that more content typically results in more hits. And it's so tempting to just press that generate button and just basically hope that this is going to get your site more hits with very little effort involved. But I don't think that AI somehow is going to precipitate this huge revolution, because I think we were already in a race to the bottom. People were already looking for cheaper and cheaper ways to create content, whether that was plagiarism, whether that was some of those rephrasing tools that just like take the same content and go through a thesaurus and just change them all up. Whether it's hiring and underpaying people to create content, we were already in a race to the bottom. AI is just the latest iteration of how people are kind of doing that.
AI is not AI, I think, is a big thing to understand. It's right now what we have with the language models. It's a glorified content spinner. So if you played with content spinners back in the day, you'd put in an article and it'll spin it, and it's absolute garbage is what you'd get back. And now it is better, for sure. But it is just a fancy article spinner, and it cannot really give specifics. It can't give tone. It can't do branding. It can't do any of those things that make writing special. And then it really can't do. It can't do SEO either at all. And while I think it can speed up the process, and I think that is ultimately the right way to use it right now for certain things in content creation, what I've found is that while it might help you do SEO faster, if you're bad at SEO, it's just helping you do bad SEO faster. It's not dragging anybody into good SEO or into these amazing rankings, because it can't. It doesn't know how to do that, because that's not what it's doing. And it's the same way with quality writing.
Google hasn't yet explicitly dinged AI content, but because of this race to the bottom, people were already finding that a lot of search optimized content was not actually answering their question, or it was hard to trust it because you thought, oh, somebody's just written this to sell me their cookbook, or to get me to click on their affiliate link, or for ad views. There's money behind this. This isn't someone's real human opinion. So they would type in things like best chocolate chip cookie recipe Reddit, best chocolate chip cookie recipe Quora, and get a real human person to answer their question rather than SEO content. This is what Google addressed in their helpful content update that came out earlier this month, September 2023. So right now, what that means is website from like human written content, human writers, is being more heavily promoted in the search algorithm, but I expect that this is also going to reflect poorly on people who are using AI to generate content exclusively, because it's going to be even less helpful if you're purely generating it with AI, because it's going to be so obvious to humans that this was not written by a real person, and thus it's not helpful content. It's not a real opinionated piece of work. No, my theory of the AI revolution is that it's actually going to put a premium on real human opinionated advice. That's why my website was not dinged by the helpful content update, because when I write stuff, even when I do it for SEO optimization, when I do it for SEO, I put as much opinion and thought and care and experience into each article I write as much as possible, because if not, what's the point? I'm bored writing that kind of stuff. That's why I outsourced to AI in the first place. There are exceptions when things that I'm not an expert in or don't have a real opinion in take off, but for the most part, stuff that I care about, stuff that I write about from the heart, as cheesy as it sounds, that's what performs well in the search engine, regardless of how much AI I used. And typically, the less AI I use, the more personality, the more me comes through. So what's the future? Ultimately, you've heard this 1,000 times already. I think the future is a combination of AI and humans.
I'm not panicked.
Right.
You do need to know how to adapt and how to use this as a tool. And what I think it can do for you is really do a very good job in the ideas area of things, like
Interesting. Okay.
coming up with things to write about. I think it does a very good job with that. What can we write about in a particular topic? It can give you 30 great things to come up with, which might have taken you a little bit of time to do on your own.
Right.
The other thing that it can do is it can give an okay first draft in terms of these are the kind of things that you could cover. So in addition to the topic, you can get somewhat of an outline of things that also might be good to cover. But then after that, that's where the human has to come in. So you can do things, I think, at scale a little bit better in terms of what are we going to talk about and what might actually be the main bullet points of that piece. That's what it's really, really great for. But when it comes to just about anything else, I wouldn't worry too much, but I would integrate those things into my SOPs now.
Right, yeah. I think that personally I will continue to use AI to generate outlines, because at least then I've got, even for the really boring ones, I've got some content to start with and edit and prompt me to have ideas rather than that dreaded blank page syndrome. But I don't think AI is going to fully replace content writers, because if it does, there's not going to be a huge audience for that kind of content anymore. I haven't found a reliable AI detector, but I have found that most people don't really need one. You read a piece of work, and whether or not it's written by AI, you can tell, yeah, this isn't really helpful. This doesn't have any opinion in it. This doesn't have any experience. So I think there'll be something in the middle. It'll be people using AI to, do SEO, do optimization on the piece, like include related keywords, outlining for sure, coming up with keyword ideation. But the writing itself, I think that's going to go, if anything, more human than it was to begin with, because there's going to be this premium, this human opinion, human experience is going to be even more valuable than it is today. I want to end by saying that through all of Google's changes, and there have been a lot of them, as there's this kind of arms race between like the SEO gurus who learn how to game the system and Google's tweaks to kind of update it, and then again people like, oh well, here's the new tweak, here's how you game it. Throughout all that, 5 things have helped you rank on Google, and they're very simple.
You really want to make sure you put it in very specific places, just as kind of a baseline, and that's in your URL, that's in your title tag, that's in your H1, and in your paragraph tags. And the dirty secret of SEO is if you do that one time in all of those places, you've probably done 60% of SEO. And so I would backtrack and make sure that I've got my phrase exactly as I like it, that I'm shooting for, in those 4 places.
And 5th, write something good. There are exceptions to that. There are always exceptions to these rules, but for the most part, if you follow those rules, AI or no AI, you're going to do okay. The writing is going to come down. The writing, the opinionated, the human writing is going to come down to real people like you and like me. I know this is contentious, so I would love to hear your thoughts on the future of AI, whether AI is moral to be using in writing, whether you think I'm totally wrong and AI-generated content, full AI-generated content is the future. Let me know what you think. This is such an interesting thing, and honestly, there are real downsides, but we were too late for world exploration. We're too early for space exploration. I think this kind of technology exploration is a pretty neat point of history to be living through. All right, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye. Astrid, do you want to go inside? She wants to go inside. Yeah. You have been a lot less waffly than most of my guests that I have on these, so we've hit all of the main points. A lot of people tend to just go on at length about things that I don't really have to end up editing out. We've hit most of the main points that I wanted to cover. What else do you like?
Said that.
I'm editing this bit out of the video for sure.